Hey everybody, this is Clinton Bonner, VP Marketing at Topcoder. Hello once again. We are diving into part 3 of the Wizard.fit story. I'm with Soofi Safavi from the Wizard.fit team. Soofi, it's a Saturday. I know it's a weekend. First and foremost, on a human perspective, how are you doing? You live right in Philadelphia. How's your city? How are things? How's the tone? How are people feeling? How's Philly doing from your take right now? What do we got? Today is March 28th.
20th. And thank you for asking. Yeah, the city is holding up. I think we are just at the border of some of the more devastating actually states, New Jersey and New York. But here the hospitals, they're still holding up. We don't have the kind of the situation that New York has. The people in the city, they're basically tolerating, and they're making sure that they follow the rules. So there's not a lot of craziness going on, people coming out and try to just kind of violate some of the stay at home and the community of actually the trainers that we are ultimately very close to them. They're doing their part. I'm really amazed, but what's still some of the smaller outfit and the studios are doing. They're putting videos out there. They have cooking sessions, they have one-on-one sessions, private session, group sessions. Yesterday, right here in our living room, my wife take a Zoom class with the CrossFit gym that is right near to our house. So I think everybody's coping. Everybody's hopeful that we're going to come out of this successful, and hopefully we see some light in some of the devastating areas in the country.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm an optimist. I think we will, and I think we'll come back stronger than ever. And I feel that there's those kind of stories where there's so much like just, rapid innovation and a rapid change in how people approach their business and how they communicate and really reach their community. That's the inspiring part. And that's really what we're doing here too. That's really what you're doing as well, or really that is what you're doing. And to recap for the folks who maybe haven't seen part 1 or part 2 yet, we certainly will link part 1 and part 2 in this story as well. But to bring people along if they haven't yet, you're bringing a brand new fitness application to market called Wizard.fit. You have buddies, you have friends, you have people you respect that are in the fitness world. They're suddenly unemployed. You're using a 100% distributed team, included in that is the Topcoder platform to get, virtual technology talent, design talent working with you. And we're on to part 3. So to recap real quick, part 2, we talked about your technology choices. What I loved about that discussion, I encourage everybody to go check it out. To me, it was a bit of a master's class in, well, what do you do when you want to run a 100% remote team? We talked about GitHub. We talked about using the Marvel API. We talked about your on the Topcoder platform. We talked about Slack. So many different tools you're collaborating with these remote workers, and even a marketing team that you brought in now, who's also 100% distributed. And again, I really encourage people to go check out part 2 because it's just a super cool dive into the technologies that you've kind of huddled together so that you can go fast, even in the face of all this crisis. And the other piece for me, Soofi, that was interesting is that we talked a bit about the technology choices you're making for Wizard.fit, which included things like the PayPal integration and integration with the Zoom API. And once they opened things up, you saw an opportunity to build on top of Zoom in a brand new way, to really look at that form-intensive workouts and bring a new experience for fitness instructors and like through the application. So, last time we chatted was, just quick update, look at my notes. Last time we chatted was Monday. So we chatted 5 days ago. It's now March 28th and it's a Saturday afternoon. So in the last 5 days, Soofi, can you give like just a general update of what you've seen from the platform and the teams you're working with? Last time we checked in, we had UI UX design coming in, getting done. We also had, I think, a V1 and then a V2 potentially of a Heroku application also. So some of the functionality was getting there. But you're the technologist. Love to understand what's happened in the last 5 days.
Oh, definitely. A lot of actually great progress. As you mentioned, the team has expanded, and we have a lot of actually additional participants. We have top coder. We have actually a distributed marketing team that they're trying to actually push the message out. We have a set of actually technologists that they're trying to help out, especially as this app goes to production, figure out how to maintain it, and some of the additional actually work. We have a community of actually trainers that they started giving feedback on the app. So what, from a progress perspective, as you mentioned, we had the design on Monday. We have gone through the design, probably 2 additional iteration. The UI design is perfected, that we even did an online video demo of the UI, and we actually pushed it through Instagram to all the trainers, and I'm actually started getting feedback. We send in email communication through the marketing hub to invite everyone to look at actually the design and provide feedback that we can actually kind of blend it in. We have finished the back end. We actually today, Mithun, we love, send me actually a good news that we finished the integration with PayPal. And what's left ultimately to be able to get that into the hands of trainer is the Zoom integration that we are working on, plus kind of bring the UI skin on top of it and just kind of fit it into the design that we have. In addition, the team made a lot of actually discussion in terms of the technology choices. We had to evaluate, do we use the kind of the web app version of Zoom, kind of feels integrated, or basically leverage the Zoom app that is on your mobile and just kind of launch that. It's still integrated, but it requires a little bit of a more savviness for the trainer. So the team trying to figure out which one's faster, which one actually get us to the MVP. So that's one technology choices. The team made a quick 12-hour turnaround to be able to change the framework that we are using for the app, to be able to allow to package it for the native Apple and Android. They made some discussion in terms of using a set of the technology that actually Apple is requiring, especially when you have open applications that external parties, they basically create the classes, they can name the classes. There should be some basically checks and balances to make sure that the name that they use, it fits the guideline that actually Apple has. So there's a lot of moving parts, and the team is collaborating. As I mentioned, we have the top coder team. We have actually 4 or 5 additional technologists that they're trying to figure out how do we go from here to the next step. The marketing team, the design team. We just actually got words from the CTO of Top Coder that made an introduction to another Top Coder, basically a member that they're going to help out to be able to see from a testing perspective, from a rollout perspective. We have this thing taking time. So this is amazing. This feels like that we have right now, 30 parties involved with the app and try to figure out the best and the fastest way out. We conducted a handful of review with the trainers. So I personally actually got the trainers online. We walked through the app, got their feedback, passed on to the team. We are experimenting on the Zoom. We just published a guideline to what's the best way to be able to set up like your yoga mat in front of the camera, so you have the best visibility. 8 feet parallel to the mat, 4 feet high is a perfect match. We put the guideline out very quickly. We got some feedback. Nobody has like 8 feet in the small room. So we are revisiting to figure out how you get around it. If you're in a room that you have a big bed, what's the best way to be able to set up the camera? Those are the little things that I think it's going to help us to either blend into the technology or at least communicate to be able to make this experience for the trainee and the trainer as good as the physical location, which I believe this is the key to have this thing successful. Because if that experience is very similar, then people are willing to be able to actually pay for the classes and just kind of bring the much needed cash flow into the hands of the trainers, and ultimately kind of keep the industry intact.
One of the thing that comes through for me is just the passion and energy that, you know, you started that part of the conversation, and then you really just get, you know, I could see it in you, I could see it in your voice and in your body language, how excited you are, and how much passion is going into this because of the collaboration. Because, you know, yes, you're alone, you know, right now in Philly, of course, you're with your wife and stuff, but like you can't have the normal meetings, yet you have so much collaboration going on. You have so much, you know, fervor and excitement, and we're talking about really purposeful and intention filled actions. When you're talking about like getting on Instagram and bringing in, you know, super early users to give you near real-time feedback, I just want to give you kudos, first of all, but also we talked 5 days ago. So you just kind of blew my mind with like, I didn't know 80% of that stuff was, well, you know, I knew things were happening, but not in such great detail. 5 days ago, it seems to me you probably did 3 months or 6 months of what would take the work to happen inside a traditional enterprise if the natural blinders were on, and folks were just not thinking about how do I use external talent, external ability to go a heck of a lot faster. So number one is I kind of pick it up on the passionate vibe, and just frankly love that. I think it's awesome. I did want to ask, when you brought it to Instagram and you got the feedback from the trainers, how many people were you able to gather roughly to give you the feedback?
So we have right now the network of 40 trainers that we are communicating with. I would say I have received over 15 direct feedback about the app and questions about, okay, what about this? What about that? Are we going to be able to do this? Are we going to be able to do that? You know, there are plenty of stuff that, you know, even for me, it's actually, you know, I never thought about them. So we set up the PayPal account. This is kind of interesting, that everybody pays. Then I realized, how do I need to actually distribute the cash that I collected into one account to these trainers? Because it's one account. So like, I never thought about that. I was just like, it's, so we had to actually make a quick change to the app to be able to get their PayPal account. I just talked to an intern. I said, we are not going to be able to automate this for the first release. Probably we're going to have 1 week or 2 weeks of basically this manual work. So I talked to an intern that I brought from the University of Pennsylvania to be able to help out to, on a daily basis, go through and for all the trainers, move the money that we collected and move into their actually PayPal account. So a lot of things that is coming up that I think if I didn't have the support of the community, I wouldn't even think about them. And right now they ask the question. As a result, we go back to the top coder team. They do a quick evaluation and says, okay, this is the best path forward. And all of it is still happening in the scope of MVP that we have, which is amazing.
Yeah, that's super cool. And it also reminds me, are you familiar with the Amazon Tickle Me Elmo story from back in the day?
Yes.
So, you know, for any of the folks watching, that was just the fact that you talk about, hey, you know, if we can't automate it, well, then you just do it manually. But on the surface, you keep it easy for the consumer, the viewer, whatever it might be, the person using the application. And of course, the story goes that whatever year that is now, but when Tickle Me Elmo was the biggest, hottest thing in the world, that Amazon literally had people driving to, you know, Toys R Us's on text threads, on whatever threads they can get on, buying as many Tickle Me Elmo as they possibly could, getting them back to warehouses so they could ship Tickle Me Elmo and not miss on that promise to their market. So, you know, it's not uncommon at all, but it's just that grit is what it really is, right? So it's that grit and determination to say, okay, didn't realize we're going to hit this bump, because yeah, that makes a lot of sense. You collected all the money. How the heck do you distribute that now? Like legally, what happens there, right? What are the circumstances and things you have to get over? But the ability to pivot so quickly and then use the talented team at Top Coder and the technologists that you're working with also, really, really cool stuff. And that's amazing. You had 40 different trainers readily available, and you got so much feedback already. I think that's incredible. So again, hitting the fast forward for the viewers out there, we're 10 days into the builds, right? So we're 10 days into Wizard.fit. Obviously, a ton has happened. What for you, Soofi, is the next, 5 to 7, even 4 to 5 days, what happens next? And when do you think you're going to be at a point where you could say, okay, that's our MVP?
So I think our target is to basically have that up for these group of 40 trainers that we have. Obviously, it's going to be open, but they're the ones that they got engaged, and we have basically open the line of communication so that we can collect feedback. The goal is to second week of April, which is 2 weeks from now, to have it live for them to start using it. So from now until then, there are a couple of things needs to happen. There's still a couple of pieces that we have to finish. We need to put that into a kind of rigorous testing to make sure all the features they're there with the help of some of the trainers and the help of Top Coder as well. During that time, we are basically actively engaging the community for their feedback. So this thing, it doesn't be a surprise when we put it out there. So the team is posting Instagram videos of the app and some of the features and the questions that we have. We created a Facebook account, Instagram account, and YouTube account to be able to actually push the content out and make sure that everybody's get a chance to give feedback. There are going to be some setups that actually we have to do, be able to actually establish the PayPal account that requires to actually have EIN for the business or register the business. So there's a lot of actually kind of legal and foundational work that I'm juggling in parallel with the help of actually the team. And the most important thing that I need to actually kind of get everybody focused, this is going to come down to two things. Timing, to be able to actually put it in the hands of the trainer and be able to ultimately pivot around that. Our work will be starting the day that this goes out, because now we are accountable and responsible actually kind of to the community to, if this thing is solving their problem, continuously improve that for them to be able to have more and more classes, more and more actually trainees on the platform, more and more trainers, and kind of make it pervasive across United States. So preparing for that is probably one of the most important thing that right now I'm trying to figure out. How do I engage the Top Coder? What are the features that we need to prioritize right after that? What type of integration additionally we have to put in place, and so on and so forth. So as the day goes by, while we are getting closer to the go live, which get us more anxious, but the volume of work kind of increase because the work is just going to start right at the time that we put the MVP out.
Yeah, you're not at the finish line. You're actually at a different starting point, is what it is, right? Which is cool, and like so many other thoughts, and again the promise back to the community. Not that it's always been the focus, but that it becomes like making sure you're living that and delivering for them. And my hunch is too that with this success, this will be something that can help the short-term need, but then of course can really help trainers everywhere much longer term too. I know it was born out of necessity, and when it after this is all over and people can go back to physical places, well, sometimes the physical place can only hold 12 or 20 people or whatever it is that maybe it's 5, maybe it's 8, and then all of a sudden they can bring in maybe 4, 5, 6 other people, which is incremental income. It's incremental other people getting healthy. It's a really good amplification of what's possible because of this, because I definitely see a future where it's going to be, hey, people that could be there physically, people that want to take it via the wizard.fit app can do that in real time, and you end up with this new hybrid scenario where there's actually more wealth and more health. That's not a bad slogan, by the way. Soofi, you could borrow that if you want to. Not bad. So I do want to make sure that people understand, if they want to follow the story along, what are some of the best places to either follow you, whether that's Instagram? Like if you had to say, hey, choose one or choose two, where would you want people to kind of go visit? We're going to put these on the Top Coder blog, of course, but are there places you'd like people to go follow along and join the story?
Well, I think it's actually, we are focusing on the Instagram. Obviously, majority of the stuff that they're longer videos, since you can put it on the Instagram, we have it on our YouTube channel, but the links and actually the connection is in Instagram. That would be the perfect place. So it's wizard.fit. It's actually is the Instagram handle that everybody can go to, and we'll take anything. They can comment, they can DM us. We'll take any feedback, and we are 100% appreciative of actually anything that the community tell us. I'm getting emails from my colleagues that they know a trainer that wants to actually hop on and participates and give feedback. So we encourage that, because that's the only way we can actually perfect that. And as you mentioned, I totally agree that while this is born out of necessity, this is going to be a platform for actually innovation. Even in the back of our head, we are thinking about applying computer vision to be able to detect actually the positioning of the trainee, to be able to give them feedback, to be able to kind of give notification. So this thing has only room to grow to solve the immediate devastating problem, but long term just create a amazing global platform for fitness and wellness.
Yeah, I love it. And I do have a suggestion that when you get to the computer vision part, there's a pretty good platform called Top Coder that you, of course, already done some really cool work with computer vision. And our data scientists, they would love that. It's such cool work. Very often they're working on really tough to solve problems, and the data scientists that we have in the community, which are, there's a lot of them, they really are attracted to, the ones I've seen, they're really attracted to something that solves something hard. they love those hard problems, and then B, where it really has that human flavor, where you could show the efficacy of the effort to say, hey, if you could help us solve this, you're going to improve something really, really human, whether that's geospatial, computer vision, we do, biomedicine. You're very familiar with the different things we do on Top Coder, but I'm excited for that round too. But we'll get there. We're not gonna walk. We're not gonna, crawl before we walk. We're sprinting the whole way, but we'll get to the computer vision stuff at a later date, and as we march to MVP. So let's wrap this for now. We'll check back in. We'll do a part 4, which I think the plan was kind of when we're putting the stamp on the MVP, and hopefully getting some real-time feedback and some trainers in to kind of even bring along for this adventure, and have maybe bring a few that could come to a Zoom call and discuss it with us live. So we'll find out what we could do later. But Soofi, keep on rocking, man. This is a blast. Even in dark times where we know there's suffering, we know there's pain, there is innovation, there's passion, and you are a really great example of the best of what's happening out there, even in the dark times. So I want to say thank you, Soofi. So have a great rest of your weekend, and we'll come back for part 4 pretty soon.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.